Dana Gonzales, cinematographer for Fargo, season 4. The head of an African American crime syndicate goes to war with the Italian mafia in Kansas City, Missouri during the 1950s. Dana, I know you've worked on the show for the whole time. I guess when you were approached about this, the direction for season 4, what were your initial thoughts?
Yeah, when we were doing Legion about a year before we went into production on season 4, and Noah brought me in his office and was super excited about the project, and asked me if I wanted to do it, and we started talking about concepts of what it was, and and he brought up some points, and the thing that we talked about actually in that first meeting was mugshots and kind of what that meant, and I thought mugshots to me was about like the beginning of photography, and how when a criminal took a mugshot, they almost smiled in case their mom saw it, or in case they were like a celebrity. And to me, that was a really kind of important kind of little motif that we build off those kind of things. So we talked about that, and we looked at mug shots, and we talked about maybe shooting it black and white, but we didn't. There's some black and white in the season, but we talked about shooting in Chicago. Noah really wanted to shoot Chicago just because of the Americana of it all, and I had never been to Chicago. I never shot Chicago, and it was like, it really is like Americana, and it's it's the most northern kind of big city in the middle of the country, and it's just like, it was so perfect for this story that we had to tell. And we were leaving, we shot Canada the last 3 seasons, and it was like kind of departure from kind of Fargo, those 3 seasons and those stories. So yeah, and every year we have to come up with a new look and a new concept, as it were. I think the photography has evolved from season 1 being very Coen-esque to season 4, where we felt we earned the right to do whatever we wanted to do. We weren't going to like just throw out the kind of Coen-esque storytelling, because we're interested in that. We like it. It's part of our aesthetic anyways, but we use longer lenses, and I think if someone really studied season 1 to 4, they would see the camera is a little more ambitious, and the storytelling is just, the camera is used a little bit more to tell a story. It always has. It always has taken the story forward, but I think it's just a little bit more daring and than maybe the previous seasons. With crane work and just storytelling that way.
Mm-hmm. You mentioned, so like the Americana obviously adds such a authenticity to it. Also, you talked about like the replicating the film stocks, or just the visual look of like like Kodachrome for like the 50s, and even like when you go previously, and like you mentioned, the black and white. Can you talk about like how did you go into creating those visuals to make it look so authentic, I guess? Like, where did you start?
Yeah, I mean, any cinematographer who's tried to create Kodachrome digitally, I mean, we sometimes, if you're a still photographer, you've tried to do it with stills, and then now doing it in with motion pictures, and then now you're doing with colorist and all kinds of things. It's pretty challenging, and I had to approach it a different way. I did a little bit of reverse engineering, and if anybody knows anything about Kodachrome, it's actually black and white film, and they do color dyes when they process it. So I did a process like that to create the look in post, and then I did a fair amount of. I have a very radical color filter I'm using in production. I had to create a show LUT, which I don't normally really do that too much, but I had to create a show LUT that was pretty aggressive, so I could see how this kind of contrasty, saturated film stock was going to look, when I was lighting it, because the blacks were so deep and things like that. And this is just something you can't do later. You can't just say, make this look like Kodachrome. It just doesn't work that way. So it really was a process of reverse engineering, and kind of maybe going back to how they developed the film stock in a weird way, but but of course in a digital space. And it seemed to work out. We got it to a place that I think worked out, and we built the wardrobe and production design to work with the colors, and we made sure that we weren't all competing. So the wardrobe was not competing with the production design. So if the wardrobe was going to be colorful, then the production design was a little more muted. If the production design was muted, the wardrobe would be a little the opposite. So and that kind of collaboration really creates the entire look. All those things that just come together to make it all work.
Was there like a specific shot you'd say, or anything where you're like, oh, this is definitely working, like the Kodachrome look, like where you just like, I nailed it, like right now this is like we got this, and know the whole thing's gonna be fine?
Yeah, I mean, in the makeup and hair test, we kind of tweak it and finalize it, and we always shoot our makeup and hair tests are kind of for us are very important, and we've actually used them for the TCAs. I don't know if I mean, if you've seen one of them or two of them, but we've actually used them for the TCAs. Just because the way we shoot them, and then Noah cuts them together, put some music in them, so that really informs us. And that's kind of like the final little tweaking moment. And then I remember there's several. There's like I remember just there's one particular scene which was not really a scene. It was just a shot of Chris driving up, getting out of this blue car in this neighborhood with all these leaves. That was kind of it was fall when we started. And getting out of the car, going in, and I remember the car and the leaves and the backgrounds. It just, that to me was like this incredible kind of Kodachrome moment, and it was that moment where like, oh my God, we got it right. That blue in that car is as good as it gets, and that's to me what Kodachrome was. It was a very lifelike film stock, and you look at those any Kodachrome today, and it's literally what that era looked like. It's very true. Because it's this positive medium, and so there was several of those moments that was in the the first block, and then from there it's just you see it again and again and again, and and then you build off that.
And then we mentioned like there's black and white element too. You have to also then account for that. I guess like what was like on top of the Kodachrome, how did you like go about that and making sure it felt like authentic again to like the era?
That black and white episode you're talking about?
Yeah.
So the black and white episode was to me was like vintage Tri-X, and like if you ever looked at Robert Frank's The Americans, there's that film is different than the Tri-X today. It's a different formula, and it's like I shoot a lot of black and white film. I'm striving to create that black and white imagery of Robert Frank from The Americans. Almost impossible, and so I want to be like, so I wanted to create that stock in for Fargo, and it was again a series of actually pushing my colorist to color in a certain way. Anybody that has done black and white conversions knows that you could use the color the color de Beer or whatever to create different shades of gray. And then I used another aggressive filter that was different than the color filter that I use in Kodachrome, but it was a very aggressive filter in combination with the post process that I did. And because some of that post process even created grain, actually, when you start pushing reds and greens and things like that. And almost each shot, it has a different formula. And so I had to simulate that again. We did it on set in live grade, but I had to do it again in the final color. And it's just it's experimentation, but you start seeing it come alive. And then again, I tested the wardrobe and the production design, the wallpapers and all these things. We tested it. So I was like, here's how these come, render in black and white. So we could see how the grays, how everything reacted. And this is my process I'm doing. So this is how it'll react. And so once again, all those things came together to create the image. And I'm very proud of that episode. I mean, I think it's literally the best black and white I've ever shot, and digitally. It's right up there with film in a lot of ways. So but I'm throwing everything at this thing. I'm like, I'm right at failure to make it look the way I think it should look. And I've always believed that that's the way you should do things. So that's what happened.
Yeah, well, it really is great. Dana Gonzales, cinematographer for Fargo season 4 on FX and available now. Thank you so much. Appreciate it.
Thank you so much.